Tuberville on white nationalists in the military. I call them Americans. What's up, everybody? My name is Simon Hill. Thanks for clicking this video and tuning in. If you're new to my channel, I'm a Black American who's been living abroad and giving my opinions on various topics as I travel. I also write a lot about the Blaxit movement, also about philosophy, many things I do on my channel. I try to keep it interesting, fun, light, and informative. In a world where so many people are spreading misinformation, disinformation, and distorting the truth, I try to keep it real, black, and raw here. So if you like what I have to say, hit the like button, subscribe, leave a comment, and share. So let's get to it. Tuberville is a senator from Alabama. Every state in the U.S. gets 2 senators. We have 50 states, so that means what? We have 100 senators. Both senators from Alabama are Republicans, which is the conservative party of the United States, typically associated with the right wing. The other senator from Alabama is a woman named Katie Britt, and Tuberville is probably the most prominent right-wing conservative Republican, one of the most, because he's often out here saying crazy and outlandish things such as this. Now, for many people, they will hear this story and be aghast, shocked that somebody would say white nationalists should even be considered in the military. But I have a different opinion on that, and I have a different take. I won't take the easy road and say that this is sick to say this, that we should allow neo-Nazis and white supremacists in the military. I have a different opinion. But I want to first give a disclaimer. I do not support American imperialism or militarism, and I do think we do need to treat our veterans better who come back not from serving the country, but from actually going to do their job. I have a tattoo on my arm right here. It says, "Rest in peace, George Anthony Wade Jr." George Anthony Wade Jr. was a 24-year-old friend of mine. We grew up together. He went to go serve in Iraq and Afghanistan. 2 tours, came back, didn't have many job prospects, tried to keep his life together, but ended up taking his life at 24 years old. I do think we need to do more to treat the people who go and we send our children across the world to do harm to other people, and they come back with nothing. And hundreds of veterans every year take their own lives, and there has to be things done to stop that. I'm 32 years old right now. If George was alive, he would be 31. We would probably still be friends, and I miss him dearly, and I love him so much that I put him on my skin. So I think the U.S. military has done some horrible things across the world to other people, and we also do horrible things to our own citizens. Let's change that. But let's first read this story about U.S. Senator Tommy Tuberville of Alabama, who said there should be no efforts to block different ideological groups, including white nationalists, from serving in the military, and criticized President Joe Biden for taking steps to remove them, even as concerns about extremism in the military dates back to the Trump administration. So let's just analyze this and think for a second. Is it right for people with nonconformist ideological, political, social views to be allowed into the military? I would argue, yes. Now, let's say me, for example, a communist, socialist, globalist, the things that keeps right-wing conservatives up at night. Me who embodies all the things that the right deems as evil. Should I be allowed to serve in the military? Not that I ever would want to, but let's say I did. I think I do have that right, or I should have the right. As we know, America's foreign policy in the last century was highly influenced on fighting communists and fighting socialists. So, should me as an American not have my right to go fight for what I believe in as well? Maybe if I am a communist, but I believe in American nationalism, I should be able to support my country. I don't think that people should be discriminated against because of what they believe. And that's impossible to root out people by what they believe, because you'll never know what's in somebody's heart and mind until they reveal it, if they ever do. People should not be discriminated against because of their sex, origin, their race, their religion, anything like that. The same, I think different ideological groups should be allowed in the military. Now, that is the idealistic view. Because in reality, as we know, the white nationalists, the white supremacists, the crazy right-wing nuts have caused the most violence in the United States since the very beginning of the country. From the Civil War was started by right-wing white supremacists, to the many race riots where white people terrorized black people and lynched hundreds of black people across the country and burned down cities and whole communities. Those were right-wing white supremacists. To the Oklahoma City bombing caused by Timothy McVeigh, who wanted to start a race riot. White supremacist terrorism. Charles Manson wanted to start a race war. Helter Skelter. White supremacist terrorism. To the white supremacists last week who was a Latino man who walked into a supermarket, not a supermarket, a mall in Texas and laid down 7 people. White supremacist terrorism. As we all know, from January 6th, as even on January 6th, I could name the examples all day. This video could be an hour long of naming examples of white supremacist terrorism that has happened in the United States. January 6th, right-wing, white nationalist nuts running up in the Capitol talking about they want to hang Mike Pence. We will not forget that the white supremacists are the most violent people in the United States. And so in practice and in reality, people should be afraid about giving white nationalists and white supremacists more how can I say, training, more access to weapons, more knowledge about tactics and weapons to be able to do their harm. That's why many people would find this aghast. I hope. But let's continue reading, because I am not saying at all that white nationalists shouldn't be in the military. Tuberville, a staunch supporter of the military and a member of the Senate Armed Services Committee, made the comments in a Monday interview with WBHM, a national public radio station in Birmingham. Asked if he believed white nationalists should be allowed to serve in the military, Tuberville said, in referring to the Biden administration, "They call them that, I call them Americans." And yes, to be honest, how can anybody deny that the white supremacists are Americans? They're as American as apple pie. White supremacy runs in the blood of America. It is inherent and endemic to the nation. So these people who are coming in probably have the true essence of America running in their bloods. Yes, allow these people in. Let them into the military. I'm not taking an accelerationist point of view. I'm just saying it's understandable how some kid, by the way, the military, the U.S. military recruits kids often from the rural parts of America, the poor, the dispossessed, and these people are mostly ignorant, have not been exposed. Believe it or not, there are whole swaths of America who have not been exposed to any other parts of the country, and who don't see any other people besides the people of their race, religion, ethnicity. I mean, if you take a kid from West Virginia, Maine, Idaho, rural Idaho, they'll never have met a person like me or anybody else outside of their class. So, putting them in the military, they might come in with some racist ass views, because it's a racist ass country, of course. I'll continue reading. Tuberville also said in the interview that singling out any ideological group is detrimental to the military. "We are losing in the military so fast," Tuberville told WBHM, "our readiness in terms of recruitment." And why? I'll tell you why. Because the Democrats are attacking our military, saying we need to get out the white extremists, the white nationalists, people that don't believe in our agenda as Joe Biden's agenda. They're destroying it. This year, we will not reach any recruiting goals in the military. So if we want to talk about looking weak, that's where we're going to look weak. We cannot start putting rules in there for one type, one group, and make different factions in the military, because that is the most important institution in the United States of America. And our allies is a strong, hard-nosed killing machine, which is called our military. What a sick man. What a sick, sick man. We need a hard-nosed killing machine. The most important institution in America is the military. This is why the conservatives are so nuts. They're nuts. They worship the gun. They worship the armed forces. They worship the rock hard cock of the general that they secretly want to fillet and have fantasies about. It's really sick that these people worship the military like this. But let's talk about it. Why do we need to recruit so many young men right now? I don't know why. We automate the military right now. We do drone strikes over Yemen. We do drone strikes over Somalia. We do drone strikes over Sudan, killing mostly these brown people that we deem as terrorists. I don't know why we need more young men to join. It's a bloated thing. The funny thing about the Republicans, they're all about small government and reducing government spending, but they have no problem bending over backwards and shitting out money to the Pentagon, allowing all of our hard-earned tax dollars to just flood into the Pentagon's black budget. Whenever you hear these Republicans talk about, we need to cut spending, we need to reduce the deficit, we need to save US dollars, they don't care. They care nothing about that. They open up their mouths wide, let that large penis of the Pentagon come to the back of their throat, knock the back of their tonsils out, and then quickly give out dollars to all the private contractors who suck the lives out of us and our tax dollars. It's really sick that we have a country like this. But let's also be honest here. Tuberville is saying this, speaking up for his constituency in redneck, rural Alabama. By the way, I was born in Alabama. I was born in Huntsville, Alabama. Spent great summers there with my grandparents. But in rural redneck Alabama, of course, the people want to say, we want allow us to join the military. We want to get our hands on guns. We want to go over there and kill them towel heads over there in Iraq and all that stuff. Of course, he's speaking up for his demographic. The people in Alabama who voted for him probably are white nationalists, closeted KKK people, and that sort of thing. Not saying everybody in Alabama is racist. I'm sure there's some nice white people, of course, there. But it's a very, very deep red conservative state. And let's be frank. If there was a mass enlistment of people from BLM or Antifa, if you say these words to any conservative, they have an immediate heart attack and say the name of Sarah Huckabee Sanders 3 times. I don't know. These people are sick. But yeah, these people are always worried about, other groups and how they're infiltrating other parts of society. They're worried about the trans agenda, the extreme leftist agenda. But let's be frank, if there was a mass of people from the left who wanted to join the military, these people would be saying, you know what we need? We need civics tests for the people that want to join the military. We need to make sure that everybody who joins is a blue-blooded no, red-blooded American joining this thing. We don't need any communist socialists in our ranks. But because we're talking about white nationalists, oh, they're just Americans. They're just, sweet Johnny and Billy. They just want to go serve their country. Never mind the swastika tattooed on his forearm and all that stuff. Let's continue. Tuberville's office issued a statement Wednesday to AL.com to clarify the senator's comments. Senator Tuberville's quote that is cited shows that he was being skeptical of the notion that there are white nationalists in the military, not that he believes they should be in the military. The statement from a spokesperson said, he believes the men and women in uniform are patriots. Defense Secretary Lloyd Austin seems to think otherwise, subjecting them to extremism training as his very first act in office. That cost us 4 million man-hours. So Tuberville got a call from the donors or got a call from the Republican National Committee and said, hey, you fucked up, buddy. We're supposed to deny that we have white supremacists. We're always supposed to deny. You know the playbook, buddy. Whenever they say that we're a racist party, whenever they say that we stand against voting rights, whenever they say we hate women just because we want to ban abortion or make people have, 20 different forms of identification just to vote, we're supposed to deny. We're not supposed to say that we really hate democracy or that we hate women or that we hate gay people or that we love white nationalism. Hey, Tuberville, get it in your head. Click. He got that, got scared, and then his office had to put out this. Because honestly, his first quote had nothing to do with that. He said they should be allowed, not that they're, maybe aren't white nationalists. It's obviously a ploy. And Secretary Lloyd Austin, I believe, is the first black man to head the Department of Defense. And, he started implementing all these courses to try to de-radicalize some elements of the military, because it is rampant in the military that there are white nationalists. Of course, for the reasons I said earlier, there are many young white men who join these organizations. They've never left Idaho. They've never left Wisconsin. All they know is the right-wing media that their parents consume, all the stuff their parents told them about crime in Chicago and all this other bullshit. Then they join the military, meet their first black friend, maybe get some Japanese pussy. Hopefully they get de-radicalized that way by getting better music and better pussy than what they got in Maine. But if it doesn't, they still remain racist fucks. Regardless, let's talk quickly about black men in the military. Black men have no place in the military. This is a black-ass YouTube channel for anybody who hasn't realized yet. And we've all seen Boys in the Hood. What did Furious Styles say to Trey when he took him to the ocean? I think they were fishing. The scene where they were fishing. What did Furious Styles say to Trey? A black man has no place in the white man's army. A black man has no place in the white man's army. A black man has no place in the white man's army. These are facts. If the Bible is rewritten, put that on page 5. A black man has no place in the white man's army. Despite what people may think of me or what you might assume of me, I am a total pacifist. I believe we are in an ideological war against white supremacy and American imperialism and hegemony. This is a war that we fight with our minds, our words, our pens. Our bodies shall not be used. We shall not win this war physically. We cannot fight the white supremacists and win. We cannot battle with them in the streets. We cannot fuck their women out of existence. We can't do this shit to win this war against white supremacy. The only way to win is with words. Serving in the U.S. military does not serve that purpose. There is nothing to be gained for us working in the military. When people see us abroad, when people see black Americans abroad, they should realize that they are dealing with the people who are fighting for justice against the forces in the world that oppress them. When we go to Iraq and people know that we're American, they shouldn't be throwing rocks at us. When we go to Afghanistan for any reason, though I can't imagine why anybody would go, we should not go to Afghanistan and people assume that we are there to reconquer. We have no place in that army. We are enforcing the will of white supremacy when we join those when we join the U.S. forces, the Air Force, the Navy, the Coast Guard, the Army, the Marines, any branch of military that we're in, we should not be in, because when we go there, we are imposing the will of capital, of capitalism, of empire on other people. We shouldn't have been in Vietnam. We shouldn't have been in North Korea. Possibly, I can't even argue that we should have been in World War II. Yeah, I said it. Yeah, I said it. The Nazis are bad, but America was imposing Nazi ideology and Nazi policies on black Americans up to that point. Hitler even said it. He was inspired by the apartheid that was done in America for what he wanted to do to Jews and other ethnic minorities in Germany and across Europe. Yeah, I said it. Yeah, I said it. We shouldn't have fought in World War II or World War I until we got our freedom in America. Some people will argue fighting in World War II ended up helping us earn our freedom. I'm not here to debate that. I'm not here to debate the facts. I'm here to talk about right now. What I'm saying is right now, as black men, like Lloyd Austin, even though he is a black face in a high place, he does not serve the purpose. He is not serving the goal. He is not on code towards getting us closer to freedom. Getting us closer to freedom is not taking a check from the Defense Department, being the head of the Pentagon. It does not come from holding the gun when you're sent abroad to do military missions against poor and oppressed people across the world. It's not working in the hangars, monitoring the nuclear bombs that could end all life on existence on this planet. Black men have no place in the military. Black women have no place in the military. It does not serve our interests. Some people say they offer us great job opportunities and skills. George Anthony Wade didn't get any. And many other black men who went and served didn't get any. So I will never, ever support the U.S. military as it relates to us. We have no business in there. Let that be for the white nationalists that want to join. Let them go over there. When the world sees America's military abroad, they should not see a black face wearing a helmet and holding a gun. It will only tie us to the devil. When people hear about the U.S. military coming, they know that they are coming to conquer, rape, and pillage. We don't do good across the world. We don't need to be a part of that. I am a total pacifist, and I am against that, especially that, because our mission to get us free will be through pacifism. I totally, wholeheartedly believe that. And I don't care who likes it. I don't care who disagrees with me. So while Tuberville is skeptical that there are white nationalists in the military, it's a concern that traces to the Trump administration. CQ Roll Call reported in February 2021 about a Pentagon report released in October 2020 that paints a stark picture of white supremacist inroads in the U.S. military. The report also outlines steps the military was taking to remove them from the armed services and measures to keep them out. CQ Roll Call described the Pentagon report as saying extremism is a threat, but to what degree was not clear, but there were no concerns about possible violence and endangered morale. A Defense Department press release on January 14, 2021, a week after the insurgents at the U.S. Capitol attempting to stop the certification of the 2020 presidential election and in the final days of the Trump presidency, included the headline, "No place in DOD for extremism, white supremacy," officials say. We are doing everything we can to eliminate extremism in the Department of Defense. Jheri Reid, the Director for Defense Intelligence and Counterintelligence, Law Enforcement and Security, said in the press release, DOD policy expressly prohibits military personnel from actively advocating supremacist, extremist, or criminal gang doctrine, ideology, or causes. Now, let's backtrack here. I said earlier that nobody should be barred from serving their country or being a part of an organization because of their ideology, unless it goes extremely against this organization unless they are joining to do nefarious things. So I guess in a sense, the belief is that the white nationalists want to do nefarious things. But I would argue that the white nationalists don't want to do nefarious things. They just want to do American things. They just want to, enforce the will of the state. They want to make sure that white people keep all the wealth, power, and prestige in America. They just want to make sure that there's a white face on the iron fist of American militarism. I don't see this as inherently, you know, against what the organization wants. What the white nationalists want and what the U.S. military wants are the same thing. And some people might say that the U.S. military or the U.S. government or U.S. culture is, in a way, right now, trying to change and become more tolerant. But I am not seeing tolerance in America when we still hear about unarmed black men getting killed in the streets by police. I'm not hearing about tolerance in America or becoming more diverse or a more free nation or a less racist nation when we still have the black home ownership rate minuscule compared to the white home ownership rate, or the amount of wealth that's generated in the nation and how it still stratifies towards the top, or how black women are more likely to die giving birth, or how many of the other things that we can talk about where black people get the short end of the stick constantly in America. America's military, America's foreign policy is very similar to what it is doing at home, and therefore black people don't need to be in it, and the white nationalists are actually just in line with it. This is the thing. Some people might hear this video and totally disagree with me because they might hear me saying that white nationalists should be in the military or that they deserve to be in the military because I'm somehow caping for white people or I'm somehow caping for white supremacists. If you read anything else I've ever said or heard anything else I've ever said, I've made explicitly clear how I feel about white supremacy. But I've also made it explicitly clear how I feel about America. It is an irredeemable nation. It is a racist nation. It will never be better. It will most likely never be better rather than never be better. There is a slight chance. I am optimistic about some things, but I hope I'm making it very, very, very clear what I mean here. And I'll wrap this up again and recap. Tuberville, in the interview, focused his criticism on Biden and Austin, the defense secretary. We, our military, and Secretary Austin put out an order to stand down and all military across the country, saying we're going to run out the white nationalists, people that don't believe how we believe, Tuberville said. And that's not how we do it in this country. We have got so much division up here in Washington that not for the country. This is not for any individual. This country is for all of us, and we're all the same. It doesn't make any difference if you're rich, poor, black, white. It doesn't make any difference. Everybody's an American, has opportunity to make this country better. We've made it 247 years, but I'm going to tell you what, I'm going to tell you what, we're walking a tightrope right now at how much longer this country is going to make it as we all know it. Yeah, the country is on a tightrope because white supremacists and nationalists are ruining it, but they're not ruining it by joining the military. So I want to be very clear, and I'll backtrack here. When I was in high school, I was a part of ROTC. ROTC is a military program. I don't know if other countries have this, but in the United States, if your high school has an ROTC program, it's like preparing you to join the military while you're in school. So you wear a uniform every Wednesday. You have to keep your hair shaved. You have to march every now and then. They teach you how to do the flips with the gun. They teach you about the history of the military and that sort of thing. And I was in the Navy ROTC, right? I was in there for 4 years, all in high school. Did it just to boost my GPA, really. But also I learned some things about the military and I knew that it wasn't for me and I had no plans on joining. Though later in my life, when I was around 23, I tried to join the military. I applied, but at the time I already had a drunk driving offense because I did get caught with a DWI one time, and I think that disqualified me. But also, more importantly, I have very bad eyesight. I have astigmatism. So I don't think that allowed me to join either. Thank God. Thank God. Because when I got the rejection from joining the military, I also, a month later, got the call that my friend George took his life, right? And that just made me realize that God was protecting me and he wasn't allowing me to throw my life away. So I want to be very clear. I'm saying all this now that about how black people shouldn't join the military, but I am sympathetic to black people that do join the military because I've been down, out, broken, felt like I had nowhere to go, and the military seems like a way for you to get opportunity to travel, see the world, make some money, and smash some bad Japanese broads. But over time, I found my way in life. I found my purpose, and I realized that I didn't have to sacrifice myself to a country that I didn't believe in. It's not like back then I believed in America, believed in patriotism, believed in all the nationalistic bullshit that they feed us. No, I didn't. I just needed something for me. But over time, I became more convinced of my convictions, assured of myself, believing in myself, and knew that I didn't have to take that sacrifice and make that sacrifice. And I'm so glad I did it. So glad I did it. I want to be very clear about how I feel about this. I'm going to summarize this very clear. What do we get from this video? What do we get from this video? People should not be barred from doing things because of their ideology. People should not be banned from joining organizations just because they're a communist, a socialist, or a white nationalist. Hopefully in the military, you can all get along and you'll learn something from the people that you're around and exposed to. White nationalists are doing nothing different than what the US government is already allowing, right? Or already permitting. If we think about what the white nationalists want, they want to make sure that white people dominate the entire world and impose their will on other people. If we think about what the US military does, we have bases all across the world to make sure that our will, our foreign policy is enacted the best way as possible. We keep the gun at everybody's head. We have nuclear weapons stored in submarines that float under the ocean. They're ready to pop off at any time. We do drone strikes on Yemen. We bomb innocent children in Somalia. We tore apart Iraq and Afghanistan. We've caused death and destruction around the world, all for the sake of the American flag, that red, white, and blue. How was this any different than what the white nationalists want or the white supremacists want? See, people who disagree with Tuberville think that the U.S. is not a white supremacist nation. That's the only conclusion that you have to reach to say that we don't want racists in the military, when the military itself is inherently racist. It's inherently racist. It's enforcing the will of a very racist country. And that's all I have to say. So, my name is Simon Hill. Thank you for watching.